Hi, I'm Ernie Shimizi, and today we're at the Sebonack Golf Course, which is the site of the 2013 U.S. Women's Open. Michael Pascucci, what a proud day for you, for your staff, for everyone here at Sebonack. This is unbelievable what you've put together.
Well, thank you. It's yet to be seen, but the people on the East End, they should have some fun. And we should be able to get a lot of people in here to see it because the USGA, in their wisdom and trying to grow the game, they've kept golf affordable, and they're keeping these ticket sales at a very modest price. So you can come with your family for like under $100 for 4 or 5 people, 6 people. Because children, I think, under 17 are free. So for $40, mom and dad can come bring the kiddies for $40. That's quite a great day.
And witness this great event. Now, you know a lot about golf, more than I do, I must say. Well, you built a golf course, so you know it from the ground up. I was always told watching the women players as a male golfer will help your game because you learn more watching a woman player than watching a Tiger Woods or...
Well, true. The men have such strength that they can get away with things with their hands and correct things. The girls have to be very technically sound. So if you watch the way they swing and their tempo, yeah, you can learn a lot more from watching the women. The gals are very accurate, and they probably they're slightly more challenged in chipping and putting, but they're all very good also at chipping and putting. So it's not like it's just when you're comparing him to a Tiger Woods, he may have the edge.
You spoke of your father, and your father was a caddy, but he also was a contractor. What was it?
Yeah, he was a contractor for Levitt and Sons. He was building the Levittowns, the roads, the concrete, the foundations, the landscaping. So he was a blue-collar working man. He loved golf. And I didn't want to learn to play because I was a sissy game, country club people. So I didn't start learning to learn until I was 35.
Michael, I'd be remiss for our viewers if I didn't mention this. Your influence on Long Island and Long Island business has been tremendous. You're in the category of a number of people. I'll include Chuck Dolan in that group because as an entrepreneur, he's left his name and his influence. But your influence, this is the man who started TV 55. That would have been a lost TV station, but you realize Long Island deserved 3 million people, their own TV station, and you built that into being the powerhouse that it is, now part of the CBS family.
Well, you're right. That was having grown up on Long Island, and then I had businesses which were around the United States, and I used television for advertising. And I used Newsday very effectively, and I said, why isn't there a television station on Long Island that I could use? So I was helping the Diocese of Rockville Center, Bishop McGann, with his television operation, Father Tom Hartman, in 1979. And then I called a lawyer in Washington. I said, is there any way I could get a television station for Long Island? That's how it started.
And there was one left in Riverhead.
There was exactly one left in Riverhead, an allocation that was dark. It was never built. And that was the beginning of it. And we applied. We eventually got the license, and then we eventually got programming. And then along came cable and satellite and must carry. And then we ended up with more homes in New Jersey than we had on Long Island. We had 1 million homes in New Jersey, and only like 880,000 homes on Long Island. So it became, I think we ended up, when we sold to CBS, we were reaching 24 million people, which is amazing. It's just like bigger than every market except Los Angeles and New York.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. When I first met you back in 1980-something, you were wearing a pin that says, "Try God." Yeah. Could you remind me again what the significance of that is?
You know, I got this pin originally when I bought something from Tiffany, and Walter Hoving was the guy there, and he was giving away the money from selling this pin for drug rehab. So I got one, and I put it on. And I said, this is pretty good because this is basically how I live my life. Is that, God has been very good to me, And if you play by God's rules, it just makes everything easier. Everything goes along smoother and easier. When you want to fight Mother Nature, it doesn't work. So you get sidetracked. So a lot of people today, particularly, they're struggling in their lives. Everybody's got, I mean, it's just a difficult world to live in. And if you really want to try God, it's give it a try. It's not a bad way to try it out. Then you give the ball, put the ball in his court, and let's see how he helps you.
Well, if success is any measure, God is with you, and also the good work that you do. We're well aware of the charities that you do and the support that you do for Long Island. I'm just wondering what your next dream is going to be, because I'd like to, I'd like to be there to see that next one, because you've always dreamed big and taken all of us along with you here on Long Island.
Thank you. Very kind to say that. Appreciate that.
And now it's the U.S. Women's Open here at Sebonack, which this is the man who started it all. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
And the reigning champion of the U.S. Open 2012, NYC Choi. People like to call you NYC, your fans. You know, you're watching you play. You've brought an excitement to the game of golf, and as a woman golfer, and it's so wonderful to see you now participating here at Sebonack for the 2013 U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great feeling, and I played this course the last 2 days, and course is great and, beautiful course, and it reminds me how I won last year at the U.S. Women's Open, so I feel great right now.
For our viewers who are going to be watching, and we're a local TV station here in Southampton, to watch you play, you embody something that's new in the sport of golf, and that is independence. You make up your own mind. And I know we only have a little limited amount of time, but last time you won the U.S. Open, that last day, that 12th hole, that's an amazing story.
12th hole, yeah. I made a like incredible par there. I mean, after triple bogey on 10th hole, I bounced back very well on the 11. I got a birdie there, and then I was in trouble in number 12, but I made a great par there, and also I had a great log on 13. My ball went to right side of the green, and then, landed on the log twice, and then, bounced to the left and save it. And I think a USGA tournament winner has to, had some luck with the winning. Yeah.
One final question. This particular course, you've had an opportunity to play it. How does it differ from Black Wolf Run and the other courses you've played?
Well, I think this course green has a lot of undulation, and I played the last 2 days. That was not the same condition as the tournament, but still long, and then greens is very difficult. But course is very beautiful, so I like the atmosphere here, and hopefully I come back with some good results and some good confidence.
Well, it's going to be one heck of a show. Looking forward to catching up with you and seeing that great competition here at Sebonack. Dad, how exciting to see you here in this USGA event. And the U.S. Open is now going to be coming, the Women's U.S. Open, to Sebonack, and you must be excited about that.
I'm very excited about it. It's a beautiful golf course. I think I'm sorry we can't see across the bay at the moment. It's absolutely fabulous.
Now, speaking of exciting, you have a very exciting job. From what I understand, that you live in airports going all across the United States. Can we talk about your role within the USGA?
Well, I've done a lot with the USGA, running qualifiers, being on the women's committee for a number of years. I'm now chairing it for 2 years. So for 2 years, I will be doing a fair amount of traveling because I'll see each of our women's championships within a 2-year period. So
USGA, that sets the standard of what golf is about.
Right.
Well, what would golf be like without a USGA?
I really don't know. I think that's an excellent question, and I don't know how to answer because somebody has to organize it all. And golf is now, we've gone from a a United States sport with the USGA to a global sport with the USGA, and the USGA and RNA being on the same page. If it weren't governed, you need rules. It's not played in a normal little box like some other sports are. And you need rules, and you need the whole unification of the game, which is becoming increasingly so.
Volunteers are an important part of that.
Oh, volunteers. Without volunteers, you can't, there's no way you could hire people to pull off a championship and fill all of those slots that need to be filled. It's all volunteers that really, and the staff is there with the expertise to help organize the volunteers. But
we're so thrilled you're here. Long Island is golf, and we're going to be having the Walker Cup in September, but this June it's going to be the Women's U.S. Open, and it's going to be quite exciting, and it's in testament to people like yourself, Dot, who really give of their time, their effort, expertise, and make that happen.
Well, thank you. It's going to be great. I'm sure it is. And you know, the women's amateur, U.S. women's amateur, is coming to Nassau next year. So we'll be back on Long Island for one of our 5 majors.
Well, keep it coming. You're welcome to Long Island.
As many of you know, when the USGA was formed in December of 1894, it was done so with 2 primary purposes: to write and interpret the rules of golf and to conduct national championships. 119 years later, those 2 missions are still at the very core of what the USGA does. And indeed, it's for a national championship that we are here today. And not just any national championship, but one that we feel is unequaled among women's golf championships across the world. It's now my pleasure to introduce you to the woman who has had the opportunity to take care of this trophy for the last year. Yeon Choi emerged from the heat, and it was hot, of Black Wolf Run in Kohler, Wisconsin to capture the 2012 U.S. Women's Open Championship. In doing so, she shot a 3rd round 7 under 65, which set the course record at Black Wolf Run and sits as a tie for the 3rd lowest single round score in U.S. Women's Open history. We're very honored to have Yeon with us today, and we are on a bit of a time schedule with her. She's going to speak to you, and then we're going to open the floor up for Q&A, as she is leaving straight for JFK at 10:30 to go to the warm and sunny Bahamas for this weekend's Pure Silk Bahamas LPGA Classic. She's going to make some brief remarks, and then we'll open the floor for questions. Yeon.
Thanks for coming in here to see us today, and I really appreciate to USGA give me this opportunity to meet you guys. I mean, this is my first speech with English, except winning speech, so I'm pretty nervous right now. I think this is way more difficult than play golf. First of all, after I won the US Women's Open last year, Sari Park, she was waiting for me on the last hole. I had a great moment there. My dream came true, and she was waiting for me, and congrats to me. So right after everything, I tried to call her first, and my parents. So I say thank you, and we had a great talk on the phone. And next day, on the Monday, I went to Korea, so I through Chicago airport. But I had a little problem with the trophy box. I tried to bring my trophy to Korea, show my parents, but trophy box is really big and solid, so one of the security guy didn't believe what's the inside. I kept saying, it's a trophy, and he didn't believe I won the U.S. Women's Open, so I had opened that box for him, and then he believed me, so it was okay through all the security. And I went to Korea for 1 week, and pretty busy day. I did many things with the media, and I spent time with the family and friends. We had a little celebrate party, and then I left my trophy from my parents' house. So I think my family and even parents, friends, they all proud of me. I had a great time with the family. And like last year, I won the US Women's Open. Course was very difficult. Even, last 2 days I played with the Sebonack, and course is difficult as well. And when I play with a difficult course, I think I learn a lot. And if I have great result, then I had really good experience there. So I always like to play with the USGA tournament. And also in 2007, I played the US Women's Open. That was my first time. I didn't have a good result. I missed the cut, but I still learned a lot. And on the weekend, I actually followed the Lorena Ochoa group, and I tried to learn from her, and I think I had a great time. So, like even this year, I'm really looking forward to play this tournament. And I mean, after I won last year, I got more fans and a lot of people recognize me. So sometimes I have pressure because a lot of people expect me to play well again, like last year on Saturday. But I think a lot of top players play with the pressure, and I think that pressure makes me have goals and purpose to play well. So I think it's good to have. I try to think positively. And then in Korea, I had a great experience at Hanabank Championship. I won in 2009 and 2010, even in front of a lot of country fans. So I tried to take advantage from that and try to think of how I did at the moment. And this tournament's in New York, so hopefully a lot of people come to here from New York City and supporting this tournament, and also me. And I do my best for defend my title. And also I do my best the next couple of tournaments and bring some good results. And I will come back with some confidence. Thank you.
NYC and NYC, it makes perfect sense. Thank you so much, Nayeon. We're going to open the floor up for any questions we might have for Nayeon. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. But I'll start out with Nayeon. You mentioned what it was like to win with Sae-Ri Pak there. What did it mean to win at Black Wolf Run in front of all your friends and your family on the LPGA Tour, and with Sae-Ri, given what she did at Black Wolf Run in 1998?
I mean, when I was 10 years old, I watched it on TV when Sae-Ri played in 1998, and
it's on.
And after I watched her play on TV, I started to golf already, and I just set my goal myself. I want to be there. And then 14 years later, I went there and I made my dream come true. So I had a great moment there, and also she was waiting for me, and she was hugging me and say, good job, Nayeon. I mean, I think I'm never gonna, forget that moment and that feeling, But the one thing is my parents couldn't be there, so even this year I asked my parents, do you guys want to come to watch the US Open? And they say, no, they just play your game, just be more independent. So, I mean, maybe hopefully next time or next year they can come watch my tournament.
Any questions for Nayeon right now? Right here, Mark. We'll have the microphone.
Nayeon, can you just talk about, you said that Sebonack will be challenging. What makes Sebonack challenging, and what kind of makes it special?
I mean, first of all, the course is very beautiful. I always care about atmosphere on the golf course, I mean, golf is 5 hours game, more 4.5 hours. But I think a golf game is only 10 minutes, 15 minute focus. And then, rest of the time I have to see a lot of different things like tree or cloud or around the golf course. And I think this course is great for that. And I mean, course is pretty difficult. I played the last 2 days with tough weather, so I played a little long and was wet. But USGA tournament is always difficult. So this course really need patience until 72 holes. And if I can, I need to control a little bit of my spin. Then I think that might help.
Right here, Hank.
Were you able to kind of plot a strategy for...
With the discourse?
Yeah.
I mean, I think a couple holes is very difficult. Number 1 and 6, 11, 16 is, I think, the most difficult hole. I think that kind of hole, I can't go to the pin. I think I need to play more smartly. So just hit the fairway first, and then hit the middle of the green, and then, hit a putt from middle of the green, to any pin position.
Yeon, yesterday you were telling us a little bit about some of the charity work that you've done, especially giving back to the LPGA USGA Girls Golf. Tell us what you feel you're able to give back to the game given your success.
Well, actually, I started to donate when I turned pro in 2005. I started in Korea, and I still remember how I was feeling when I donated to people, and the people said, thank you, appreciate to me. And I was only 17 years old, but I still remember that feeling, and I think I'm a very happy person to help to someone. So I started at the moment, and I did every year. And, last couple of years I thought, I play golf in US, and then I have to give back in here. So I did it twice with the USGA Girls Golf Club, and, just gave them, have a goal and just reach their goal. And then I did the Boys and Girls Club in Sheboygan, and I went to there in Toledo, and I got good feeling from there. So I donate to them, and I just want to give some message to them, just like what I did, have a big dream and just reach that dream. So I made my dream came true. So it should be, they have my message.
Go ahead, Jay.
NYC, when you were a child, when you were younger, when you started playing golf, when did you first realize that you might have a career in professional golf?
When I started golf, I wanted to be a professional golfer. I didn't try have fun with the golf. I was very serious because my dad wanted to be a professional golfer, but he couldn't make his dream. So he gave his dream to me. So I just right away, hey Dad, I'm gonna take your dream. And I started very seriously. And then, after I started golf, next day I went to golf club factory, and then, I got a perfect club, especially length because I was short. So one of the guy made a club for me, and then I had a personal coach at the moment. So I think I started pretty seriously. Just right away, I got a dream being a professional golfer.
Chuck.
Yeon, give us a little update on how your game is going this year, how you feel about the way you're playing.
I think I'm doing well so far, especially after last season. I kind of invest myself because, I was thinking what makes me more winning. So I talked to my coach and my parents, and we decide better short game facility, improve my game. So I got a new membership at iWorks in Orlando. It's a great golf course, and especially practice facility is great. So I spent a lot of time around the green and on the green last winter time, and if I look stats improved than last year, especially my short game. So I haven't won yet, but I think I'm pretty good, and I have a lot of confidence.
Bill, there in the back.
Yeah, hi. Since you mentioned the fact that you're at Isleworth, you spent a lot of time with Yanni Tseng practicing with her?
Well, actually, Yanni practiced at Lake Nona, but sometimes she can come over and I come there and we practice together. And there's a Paluck creamer there, and Bubba Watson, and used to be Tiger Woods live there, and a lot of PGA guy live there. And I haven't play course with the PGA guy, but sometimes I can see on the range, and I just try to their swing or their technique.
Thank you so much, Yeon.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to turn things over to give you a little history about the championship in the USGA to Dot Paluck.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you to all of you for your interest in the U.S. Women's Open and attendance today. Through the years, the USGA has conducted 66 national championships in the state of New York. And the state has played a key role in the very foundation of the USGA. The first championship conducted in the state of New York was the inaugural U.S. Women's Amateur at the Meadowbrook Club in Jericho, won in 1895 by Lucy Barnes Brown. The most recent was the 2010 U.S. Mid-Amateur Championship, conducted just 10 miles away at Atlantic Golf Club in Bridgehampton, and won by Nathan Smith. To add to all the USGA championships that have been held in this great state, we are excited to bring the Women's Open to New York for the 5th time, to the East End of Long Island for the first time, adding another page to the rich history that is shared between the area and the USGA. 4 previous Women's Opens have been held in New York. The 1957 and 1972 championships were both conducted at the famed Winged Foot Golf Club in Mamaroneck. And the 1953 and 1973 championships were held at the Country Club of Rochester. Since that inaugural Women's Amateur in 1895, the USGA has constantly been devoted to promoting women's golf and actively works to develop the game among young women. We work closely with the LPGA Tour to encourage the development of female golfers through our collaborative support of the LPGA USGA Girls Golf Program. Girls Golf is a program that teaches girls 7 to 17 not only how to play the game of golf, but it gives them life lessons that help them face their future as confident and empowered individuals. In 2012, the program added 29 new sites for a total of 249 sites nationwide, and grew participation by 20% to a record level of 10,000 girls. And together with the PGA of America, we are supporting Get Golf Ready, a grassroots program that teaches all the basics that an individual needs to know in order to learn to play golf in just a few short lessons. The program has proven itself particularly successful in exposing women and minorities to the game. 60% of all participants are women. 29% of all participants are ethnically diverse. The U.S. Women's Open has truly become the world arena of women's golf, thanks in part to Sayri Pak's groundbreaking victory at Black Wolf Run in 1998. Only 3 of the first 41 champions were foreign-born, but foreign players have won 6 of our last 8 championships. As is now customary, the 2013 U.S. Women's Open will be televised around the world over all 4 days of competition, adding to its global stature. We received a record 1,420 entries from women from around the world who wish to play in this most prestigious championship. As an organization, the USGA continues to strive to take the Women's Open to the best courses in the country. In coming years, the Women's Open is returning to familiar sites and also to new venues. Starting this year, the Women's Open is going to sites that are new to the championship. Pinehurst No. 2 will host the 2014 Women's Open immediately following the men's championship on the same course. And the 2015 championship will be held at Pennsylvania's Lancaster Country Club for the first time. And Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, just minutes from the USGA headquarters, will host its first Women's Open in 2017. At this time, I would like to deliver some well-deserved thanks. To conduct a Women's Open, you need a committed and dedicated partner, And in the Sebonack team, we have just such a partner. The USGA is grateful and appreciative of the efforts of Michael Pascucci and his staff to bring the U.S. Women's Open to this wonderful location. In addition to Mr. Pascucci himself, I would like to recognize and thank Ralph and Chris Pascucci, Executive Director Mark Hissey, General Manager Troy Albert, Director of Golf Jason McCarty, Superintendent Garrett Boddington, and his staff for their professional expertise and dedication that will undoubtedly contribute to a great championship in June. From the Bruno event team, I would like to recognize and thank Laura Khalil, Championship Director, Michael Perez, Marketing and Promotions Manager, Mike Podolinsky, Operations Manager, Olivia Twitty, Volunteer Manager. From the USGA, I would like to recognize and thank Ben Kimball, our Championship Director focusing inside the ropes, and Tim Flaherty and Matt Sawicki, our Championship Directors focusing outside the ropes. The bottom line is, we simply could not pull off a production of this magnitude without their expertise and commitment. To the entire USGA team, thank you. Before concluding, I would like to recognize the many USGA volunteers who donate their time in helping us conduct our national championships, serve on USGA committees, run our qualifiers, conduct state and local championships, and help develop the next generation of golfers. More than 1,200 volunteers assist us annually in these very important roles. To each of them, I offer my sincere appreciation and thanks for helping to make the U.S. Women's Open a wonderful experience for all. I invite you back to Sebonack and hope to see you in June. Join us for the Women's Open, U.S. Women's Open Championship. And thank you. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Dot. It's now my pleasure to introduce our kind host for today and our host for the week of the championship, Mr. Michael Pascucci.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all you folks, for coming. I really appreciate it. This is my first time doing something like this, and it never ceases to amaze me that this young lady that just left NYC, I'm so much bigger than she is, and she can play this course so much better than I can. So, you know, I got the idea to build a golf course on Long Island in 1995. It took me 6 years to find property. I wanted waterfront property because, you know, to get your all your entitlements, it's a big process, and I felt if I'm going to put myself through this, I wanted to have nice water views and so forth and so on. So I was fortunate enough to find 300 acres in Southampton with a mile of beach on the Great Peconic next to some iconic golf courses. And so once I had that property, I said, you've got a great piece of canvas, don't mess it up. So Jack Nicklaus is a friend of mine, and he's a very good strategist. So I knew I wanted Jack involved because I wanted to create a shot value type of golf course. And I guess it was Mark Hissey and who gave me the idea. I went out to look at Bandon Dunes, Pacific Dunes particularly, and met Tom Doak there. Tom was an up-and-coming architect du jour. He had some special talents. And so, you know, after some arm twisting with Jack, I got him to agree to collaboration, and I had to get Tom to agree to a collaboration because neither one of them really wanted to collaborate. But I didn't want to waste. I only had one piece of canvas, and I want to mess it up. So it's kind of like buying insurance from both of them, that they were both trying to do their thing. They were checking on each other. They were cooperating with each other. They were sensitive even to the fact that they wanted to do the best work they could because they're next door to two really very, very fine golf courses, and they don't want to say, well, what'd you build over there? So they did they did their thing, and we started construction in 03. We finished in 06. During that time, the fact that you had these two chaps collaborating, one of them, Tom, wrote a book picking on golf course architects and beating up Jack and back and forth. So it created a lot of press. And with that, we started to get people visiting here, and also as part of that was Mike Davis and David Fay, who then were the head of the USGA and the head setup guy, and Mike Davis. So they really liked the look of Sebonack, and they said, boy, this is pretty, this would really show well, we'd like to think about doing something here. So we we're very happy that they invited us and we invited them to start with a Women's Open. And I'm very proud. You know, Long Island has had a lot of terrific men's championships. It's very well known for that. As you said, the women are a very big part of golf. They've never been here, so this is an opportunity for us to see the best women of the world come and play golf on Long Island. And so in order to get that done, you know, when we started the process, we had to go to the county, Steve Ballone, because there's a lot going on, and they have to put their resources to it, and the county was very helpful. Also, the town of Southampton, Anna Throne-Holst, Frank Sapone, the town, you need police, you need fire, and so forth and so on. And you know, this is a big thing for the county and the town. It's a little disruptive, but on the other hand, there's a benefit because, as you know, the media, ESPN and NBC is going to televise this around the world. People are going to realize, you know, Long Island's a pretty nice place to come, so why don't we go there, why don't we visit? And so it's a nice showcase. So it's a good quid pro quo. There'll be a good economic impact on the area. So I think overall, you know, you're doing good and you're kind of making a profit back for the town, which is nice. And thanks to the USGA, to their credit, they've kept the ticket prices very, very affordable. So a lot of folks are going to be able to come and enjoy golf. So we thank the USGA and we thank all of you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Pascucci, and thank you very much for having us. It's a beautiful place out here. We're going to turn things over now to our championship director, Ben Kimball, who's going to give you a little bit of information about USGA course setup, looking specifically at the course here in June for the championship.
The third from the USGA to say how delighted we are to be here at Sebonack Golf Club for the playing of the 68th U.S. Women's Open Championship. And how fitting is it that the Women's Open returns to New York State when we roll into town with a defending champion that is known on tour as NYC or the Big Apple. This championship appears not to be a road game, but a homecoming for her, if you ask me. You know, I was reading an article about Yeon a while back, and she was mentioned that one of her favorite quotes of all time was, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee," taken from the great prize fighter, Muhammad Ali. Well, if any of you watched Yeon's play in the third round, the 2012 U.S. Women's Open, she went up against the greatest and TKO'd them in the third round to walk away with the title. The USGA is certainly proud to have her as our U.S. Women's Open champion, and we're most appreciative of her willingness to join us today for Media Day. We wish her the best of luck this week in the Bahamas and look forward to watching her defend her Women's Open title here next month. New York, a state that is no stranger to major championship golf, hosts again after 40 years the biggest event in women's professional golf. Golf's greatest champion and one of the world's leading golf course architects get to have their collaborative masterpiece put on display for the best players in the world. And most importantly, a national championship will be decided. I'm going to talk a little bit about the golf course and some of its setup characteristics, along with some of the thoughts of how we envision it might play. The most rigorous, most difficult, yet fair test in championship golf is what awaits these women come June. A total examination of not only their playing ability, but their mental stability is what the Women's Open Championship is all about. It's golf's toughest test. Sebonack Golf Club is finding itself as a newcomer to USGA Championships this year, but I expect you all will find that their golf course performs like a wily veteran. Now, most of you have probably seen in your media kit that the golf course itself will play to about 6,800 yards, par 72. Let it just be known that with several tee and approach shots that are going uphill, it's going to appear much longer than it does on paper. Those of you in the room probably know that it has become a common practice at the Women's Open in recent years to use multiple teeing grounds during the championship proper, and that's for a variety of different reasons. Sometimes that forces the players to have to make a decision on something they weren't expecting, or sometimes we have to adjust to conditions that Mother Nature throws at us, like what we see outside today. Either way, we are blessed with being at a venue that allows such flexibility to ensure a fair yet certain test of golf is being put forth. Fast and firm. You hear that a lot around the USGA. Fast and firm has been a long-standing USGA mantra for quite some time. Since Sebonack is completely built on sand, we envision that players in the Women's Open will have to worry more about what their ball does when it hits the ground than when it is in the air, which is truly intriguing. A firm and fast golf course really forces players to execute a variety of shots and use all facets of their game, which is what this championship is all about. Now let's get into a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of the golf course. The routing of the front nine for the championship will be slightly different than how it is played here on a daily basis. The first hole here at Sebonack will actually be the championship 9th hole, and the second hole will be the championship's first hole. So when I talk about these holes moving forward, remember that slight change. So the first hole of the championship will actually be the second hole here at the golf course, and we'll finish the 9th hole. Ninth hole of championship will be what is normally played as number 1 here at Sebonack. You see in the course yardage that the front 9 at Sebonack plays about 500 yards shorter than the back 9. Obviously, with the addition of one par 5 on the back 9, that's where most of the yardage is given up. But don't let that yardage on the front 9 certainly fool you. The front 9 starts with a difficult par 4 where a player has an uphill approach to one of the more severe putting greens on the golf course. Anything left short of this putting green, and you're possibly staring at an opening setback. Par is a wonderful score to start your round. The par 4 second hole, which generally plays downwind to a very generous landing area, requires a very high and soft landing approach to avoid a greenside bunker that would ruin anybody's round if you find yourself in it. The par 4 fourth hole is a really, really neat short downhill hole, one of my favorites on the golf course. It looks pretty benign from the teeing ground, but players will need to make a smart decision off of the tee to put them in a good position to attack this small green. The par 3 7th hole can play anywhere from 190 yards to 140 yards depending upon hole location and tee selection, and players will have to negotiate hazards all the way around this great par 3. And the home hole on the front 9, the par 4 9th hole, though short on overall yardage, makes up for it on its challenging putting surface. And as we continue to work our way through the golf course and on to the back 9, a few golf course features that begin to stand out. The landing areas here. For those of you that have ever played Sebonack before, they're very, very, very generous landing areas, which is very nice because it allows you to attack a lot of these putting greens from various angles. But the fairways are quite generous, and the USGA has implemented trying to eliminate as much rough where possible in between fairways and bunkers in an effort to control, to make players control their tee shots a little bit better and be a part of the overall test. So eliminating rough in between bunkers, making the fairway run more into bunkers is something that we have implemented. And you'll see a lot of closely mown areas around putting greens, like on holes number 4, 6, 8, and 9, just on the front 9 will certainly attract wayward shots, but we'll also introduce a variety of recovery shot options that players will have to choose from. The back 9 presents some good opportunities for us championship week as well, and I strongly believe that a lot of players will be able to find some scoring chances on this great back 9. The par 4 10th hole, usually playing into any prevailing wind that may exist, still plays as a relatively short hole, but the approach is uphill to a green that the players aren't likely to see from the fairway. This could be a good scoring opportunity for players here, which may be their last for the stretch of holes to come after that. The par 4 11th hole, which is playing as the longest par 4 for the championship, a very picturesque hole, fronting the wonderful bay here to my left, requires a big tee shot to a fairway that actually runs away from the player. The putting green sits very neatly below the players from the fairway, and distance control will be crucial in approaching this putting green. The par 3 12th hole could be a game changer come the final day of the championship. The par 3 that looks harmless on paper but is nothing but. This hole plays downhill into any prevailing wind that may exist to a putting green target that is relatively small, one of the smaller ones on the golf course. Players will have to shoot for the front half of this green in order to keep their ball from chasing into a closely mown area that would certainly take their golf ball a considerable distance away from the hole location. Missing long on this green on Sunday could cost you a national championship. The par 5 13th hole, which will primarily play as a 3-shot par 5 for the championship. We have instituted a 4-and-tee ground on this hole. We feel that that's going to be a great challenge for the players and maybe even force some of the players to have to go for it in 2 on a Sunday. So stay tuned there. The par 5 15th hole is truly a 3-shot par 5. Well, players will have to find the best angle of approach to a green that is carefully guarded with some very treacherous bunkers on a few sides. And lastly, the final hole, the wonderful par 5 18th hole with a stunning backdrop or side view of the Peconic Bay will truly be a great finishing hole for this championship. And given proper conditions, we're hopeful that some players will have the ability to go after this par 5 in 2 shots and possibly forever cement their names in the Women's Open history books. So a great balance of holes on both nines with risk and reward, and some reward lurking around every corner. We've definitely tried to take a hard look at each individual hole here at Sebonack to see what can be done to make it more challenging, yet keep all the great architectural features that Mr. Nicklaus and Mr. Doak implemented in play. We continue to look at specific golf course setup specifications as we approach June, including yesterday when we spent a considerable amount of time surveying the putting greens and hole locations for the championship. We envision putting green speeds to start in the range of 11.5 to 12 feet for the event, and we'll constantly monitor that as the championship week progresses. I imagine those speeds will slightly increase a little bit over the weekend, as when you mow greens that many times, the speed is definitely going to increase. There will not be graduated rough throughout the golf course, which has been a commonplace here at the Women's Open in years past. The nature of this golf course doesn't call for it, but I'm confident that players will face a fair but penal rough if players are wide of target. And with that being said, I think one thing that Yeon talked a little bit about in her discussion early on, and as I was sitting here, wanted to mention to the group today, you know, it's so difficult. It's not an easy job setting up a national championship, especially for a Women's Open. But we talked a lot about, out on the golf course yesterday, tee location strategies, what hole locations we should use, so on and so forth. How difficult do we want to make it be? Do we want to provide some risk-reward opportunities? Do we want to provide players the opportunity to make birdie? Do we want to make a good television as all a part of it? But I think the one thing we always forget about when setting up golf courses is the pressure that comes with the Saturday and Sunday, the third and final round of playing in the national championship. Do you necessarily need to make that hole location on 18 on the final day the most difficult one on that putting green? You could have the easiest hole location on that putting green, and the pressure of playing in the championship is then going to take over. And pressure actually is part of the test. And in examining these players, we want to make sure that they're mentally stable and physically capable of being our national champions. So we tend to forget about pressure and the factor that it plays in a U.S. Women's Open setup. So to wrap up, let me say again how excited we are to be on Long Island for this year's Women's Open. Being back in New York, a state known for having great golf fans, only makes us even more enthusiastic about what is to come in June. We are thrilled with where the golf course is at this current time and look forward to be back here in a few short weeks.
What makes you want to do this?
Of course, as I got older, I lost my fastball. I don't have it all together. No, it's. I just feel that we owe something to golf. My father grew up on Long Island. He caddied at Engineers. He only went to the 3rd grade. He was a scratch golfer. I didn't want to learn from him. That's why I stink. But you know, it's a give-back situation. It's also something that I think I'll enjoy. I've had a lot of Tour Pro men come here and play. So we have a lot of guests, and the members come here and play, and they enjoy it. We've never really had a lot of the Tour professional girls come to play. So it'll be interesting to see. We wanted to also get a feel for what a championship type of golf experience is for us. The golf course was in trying to get this golf course built the way we wanted it, and Jack and Tom asked basically, what do we want? I said, I know what I want. I want big fairways, good strategy, good greens. I don't want to torture the members. I want no scary shots. I want to be able to run the ball up on the ground on every hole. I want no cliffs, ravines, or forced carries. I want golf to be fun. I want to defend par, not with the narrow fairway, but I want to defend par with the strategy around the green. So as Ben gave a very, very good analysis. He really knows golf. And my knowledge of this golf course, I would say that because it's a test of golf to identify the best golfer. Because the fairways are so big, you can drive the ball, you can take a whack at it, and you're not going to really be in trouble. However, the greens are going to be hard to hit unless you really have the rest angle in. And I think that the all-round game, whoever's the best chipper of the golf ball is going to win this championship. You're going to really be able to have to chip the ball and get it to stop. So that was a long answer to your question, Mark.
Right here in the middle, Kaylin.
What's it like for you to host such a big tournament, and this course is so young relatively? A lot of big championships are at, courses have been around forever. So is it a point of pride for you to have a big tournament like this in the infancy of the course?
What? I didn't quite get all that.
What's the feeling of having the championship here, given that it's such a young course?
Oh, putting the golf course together, what Tom Doak's, one of his strengths was that he's a minimalist, whatever that means. So Tom left the natural landscape here as is. So every dune that you see was here at the bumps, so forth. So the golf course gives the appearance of being here a long time because it really was. It just didn't have a green and a tee box and a couple of bunkers cut out. So it gives that look. To be able to tame Jack Nicklaus, to keep him from making the course too penal, he cooperated 100%. So you've got a golf course that's fun to play. Now, I have no idea how Ben's going to set up the course. We know the pin locations. These are the best golfers in the world. Without any rough, the golf course has to be defended basically with its approaches and the green speed. So, you could have somebody shoot 10 or 12 under here. Because there's really no trouble. We have a bet. I thought of this yesterday. I said there'll be less double bogeys at Sebonack than 9 out of the 10 courses you've played Women's Open at in the last 10 years. Because without water, without forced carries, without a place to lose your ball, it's hard to make a double. There's bogeys out here, but there's not double bogeys out here. So I think if somebody's having a couple girls having a good week, you can have some low scores. There's roughly eight birdie holes and 4 bogey holes. So if you're playing your normal game, you should have 2 or 3 birdies, or 2, 3, 4 birdies, and you could have 1 or 2 or 3 bogeys. So, 2 under, 2 or 3 under every day is very possible.
Right here in the middle.
A question for Ben. Ben, for those of us who follow the numbers, how high up the scale is 80-152 relative to other setups on prior championships?
I'm sorry, say that again. How?
I say how far up the scale of difficulty is an 80-152 on a scale for previous championships? I see the course is rating over 79.
Yeah, well, the course rating average. It was funny. I was actually looking at this earlier in the week in the office. When that rating number comes back, it kind of makes me think a little bit of what I'm doing out there. But the average all the way back to 2007 is 80.1, so it's not very far off where we've been in previous years. It's certainly a number that is, at least I look at it as a number simply just a number, because there'll be several days where we're going to shift teeing grounds and hole locations to where the golf course itself will be playing at a much lower course rating than what you see there. It definitely shows you that we've got quality test of golf in front of us. I think the players are going to see that, and I think Michael summed it up very well. You know, the person with the best short game is going to excel here around Sebonack. I think a lot of time is going to be spent chipping back up on the putting greens and trying to work your way from one quadrant of a putting green to another. So we're very mindful of where the course rating is, but it sits right in line with what we have done in previous years.
Brad?
Ben, just to clarify, that rating and slope is on the women's scale of things, not the men's.
Correct.
Right? Okay, but specific question, there's been a lot of talk about pace of play. I know that was an issue yesterday. Could you talk about how specifically you keep mindful of pace of play issues in course setup?
That's a great question. Obviously, our USGA president announced an initiative in February at the USGA annual meeting that we need to take a stronger and immediate look at pace of play and how it affects not only our national championships, but all the way down to the recreational golfer. And we're certainly doing that. We're on our way and working tirelessly in Golf House to get that done. One of the things how it affects me and what I do for a living is every single decision that I make Women's Open week, I have to be mindful of how that affects pace of play on the golf course. Now, don't get me wrong, we are not going to adjust our test of golf simply to play in less time. You know, the Women's Open is certainly not a normal model. Championship golf is not a normal model for fast pace of play. But in the opening rounds, when we have 156 players trying to get through Thursday and Friday, there are things that we could do in the setup, whether it may be backing away from using a drivable par 4 or picking more strategic hole locations that will help move things a little bit further along on the earlier part. So once again, it's just being mindful of what's going on. And we're even finding that there's things outside the ropes too that can help when you think about crosswalks and where water coolers are on tees. There's things that we lose minutes in random places all over the golf course. So we're trying to clean that up as best we can to see if we can help the players move along. And, you know, we have to certainly do our part. And I think that's what our president has challenged us to do is to do our part. But the players need to certainly help us as well and realize that it is a major issue in golf. And I hope they see with the focus that the USGA's put on it that they will spend some time and step back and maybe evaluate their own game and how they can help us pace of play wise as well.
Any additional questions? No? Well, thank you so very much for coming today. Thank you to Ben and to Dot, and again to Mr. Pascucci and the entire team here at Sebonack for having us. We are very excited to be coming back here in June for the championship, and we appreciate you coming here and supporting the championship. You all have your media kits. If you flip through to the last page of the fact sheet, you'll see there's a link to the media center of USGA.org. We ask that you go there at your earliest convenience and fill out a credential application so we can best prepare for you. If you are also in the area, not quite close enough to stay at home and need some help with the media hotel, we can help you out with that as well. Just let me know. We also ask you to get the word out about the championship. There are still tickets available, www.2013uswomensopen.com. We'd love to get that out to all the fans here in the area and in the greater tri-state area. Again, we thank you very much for coming today. You can see the staff is outside getting lunch ready. They'll be ready with that in a few minutes. We'll go on to lunch and the fun part of the day, the golf outing. Enjoy the outing out there. I hope the fog burns off. Hope you can learn what Ben told you to good use out there today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in June, the 27th through the 30th for the 2013 U.S. Women's Open. Thank you so much.
The U.S. Women's Open will take place here at the Sebonack Golf Course in Southampton on June 27th through the 30th. If you're interested in tickets, they can be purchased at the website 2013uswomensopen.com. For WVVH, I'm Ernie Shimizi.